Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not worry about the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. If you've been looking on our website, starborninstitute.org, you would already know that the title of tonight's show has to do with the full moon that occurred day before yesterday, and that's why it is called The Line Holds. And that is because that full moon was at 12 degrees of Sagittarius, and it was accompanied by Saturn, the taskmaster, the planet that it is full of determination and which tends to honor things that are upheld over time or rewards that are earned the hard way. That under a full moon, we know that the moon opposes the sun. So the full moon and Saturn in Sagittarius were being opposed by the sun in Gemini, but also Mercury is there, the ruler of Gemini. It's retrograde right now, but it is there, and so is Mars. In fact, today, or during that full moon, the Mars and the sun were conjuncting each other. That is a potent combination because Mars is such a forceful planet. Those 5 planets then were also being squared by Neptune in Pisces, and that makes 6 out of the 10 planets that are in very harsh aspect among the mutable signs, and that simply means that it would be a little hard for moderate voices to be heard right now. So why does the line hold? Well, first of all, we have to look at where there are a lot of planets. Gemini, the sun, Mercury, and Mars are there, and so since Gemini rules youth, and it rules transition and our neighborhoods and pals and friends, and it rules all short forms of communication such as advertising, marketing, promotions, or journalism, and it also rules short trips and short forms of education such as community colleges or training seminars. It simply means there can be a lot going on with those things right now since Mars is in the sign as well. And Mercury is there, which is very strong. It's just that it will be retrograde for another week. And so that means when Mercury is retrograde that it's a good time to go back and tie up loose ends and prepare for some sort of delay in messages or in schedules, or it might even be that you're going to have to revise plans. So all of that is going on. But in particular, since Mars and the Sun are very close together in Gemini, it simply means that there can be a youthful group of people that really want to surge forward right now, make a lot of noise, and have everything their own way. They can be quite aggressive or competitive right now. And those planets are running up against that full moon, and Saturn. Saturn is exactly the opposite. It moves very slowly, and it requires that you not skip a single step and that you be well prepared for anything and to learn your lessons somewhat the hard way through making your own mistakes. And so it is a planet that is full of determination, and generally it is very slow to respond to something. Saturn is generally thought of as the father figure or an authority figure, and the moon can be thought of as the mother figure. Both of these planets under the full moon in Sagittarius were together, and so that is an indication that parents can be agreeing on things of a very high level, such as the moral good or the moral right or wrong in something right now. And that is because the full moon was in Sagittarius. It is a fire sign, but it's a mutable fire sign, and Sagittarius, it rules the traditional 9th house of the higher mind, of 4-year colleges and universities and graduate school, and it rules all international bodies such as the World Court or the United Nations, and it also rules travel, particularly long-distance travel, and people from foreign countries, but it also rules judges who are in a high position to determine what is legal and what isn't. And it does rule the courts as well. It also rules religion and philosophy. So with these 2 planets, the moon and Saturn there can be agreement among men and women or authority figures about what is really right, or what the moral good is, or how to attain something that is at the highest good or at the highest standards for a lot of people, not individuals who just want to get their own way, but for society in general. And so the reason that the line holds right now is because those 3 planets in Gemini, which are very strong by themselves, have no backup. In other words, there's nothing in Libra and there's nothing in Aquarius fortifying those 3 planets. And so they are coming up against the Moon and Saturn, and they're being weakened because they're being squared by Neptune in Pisces. And so, you know, the harsh aspects are sort of wearing them down a little bit. But the reason that the line holds is because that full moon and Saturn were well fortified. In other words, Jupiter in Leo is trining the 2 planets in Sagittarius, and Uranus in Aries is doing the same thing. So people who want to hold the line, who want things to be correct, who want to follow the law, or want to decide something that is for the good of everyone, those people have a lot of backup right now. That's why the line's going to hold. It isn't just them saying, hey, everything's got to be done right. It's others that are in agreement with them about that and will likely be able to form some sort of coalition, some sort of collaboration that can sustain some sort of judgment that has to do with holding the line or upholding high standards or being morally correct about something. And this can affect all of mankind. It isn't just you and me. It can be something that is decided at a very high level, perhaps by the courts, or perhaps in the churches, or the synagogues, or the mosques throughout the world. And so this is something that may affect all of us in one way or another. As the line holds now, even though there can be people that are making a lot of noise about something, wanting to be quite competitive and aggressive and charge forward right now, the line is still going to hold right now because they are not being fortified. And so how will this all turn out? Well, in a way, all's well that ends well, and that is because Venus in Cancer is trining Neptune in Pisces beautifully, and Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. Pisces rules forgiveness and charity, and all the water signs rule healing. And so with Neptune and Venus trining each other, it simply means that this is a very good time to sort of hunker down and stay with your family, mind your own business, and not be caught up in the furor or the clamor of people that are making a lot of emphasis right now on their own conditions and perhaps wanting you to join in or sympathize with them. It is a much better time if you want to make a dream come true or you want to possibly achieve some sort of charity and forgiveness, then stick with your family and try to mind your own business and stay out of the clamor and the chatter that is going on right now. Because something's going to be decided at a very high level as the line holds against others who are being competitive or aggressive and simply want their own way, even in a very selfish way. In other words, they don't care about the rest of mankind, they only care about themselves. But they have no backup, and so I don't think they're going to succeed. They'll just be loud. All right, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, you could be very lucky right now, and that is because of this grand trine in fire signs under that full moon. Both the moon and Saturn in Sagittarius were trining your sun where you have Uranus, and Jupiter is also trining your sun. Uranus and Jupiter are at almost the exact same degree. They're within 2 degrees of being exact, so that is a very beneficial trine between Jupiter and Uranus in your own sign. And so that means that you, Aries, might be involved in forming some sort of coalition that backs up people who are demanding that we meet high standards and do what is best and what is morally right now. So that would be a good way for you to go. But on the other hand, if you are wanting to start off in a new direction, you might even want to join the people that are making a lot of noise or are trying to stress their own competitive ideas right now, because the planets in Gemini do sextile your sun. So you could be caught up in some sort of malicious gossip right now, or you could be caught up in people who just want to thrust forward right now, and perhaps you think that that would be the right thing for you to do too, because Mars, your own ruler, is involved in those planets in Gemini. I advise you to step back a little bit and think twice, Aries, because Pluto in Capricorn is squaring your sun, which means there can be a change in policies, a revision of policies, and a change in management right now, and that would not necessarily benefit you. Also, Venus in Cancer is squaring your sun where you have Uranus, which means that not all of your relationships are going smoothly right now. So this may not be the time for you to join the gang and try to just push your way forward. Instead, if I were you, I'd stand back a little bit right now, Aries, because that might be the safest thing for you to do, and let people in higher authority do the deciding about things instead, and try to sympathize with them if you can, because otherwise you might be headed for trouble. And because anybody who wants to get in on the malicious gossip or the anger or the frustration of a loud, noisy group right now could have it all boomerang. And so you don't want to make yourself susceptible right now, Aries. So I would say, join the people who have the best interests of humanity at heart, and try to think not just of yourself, but of everyone around you, and that way you'll be safe. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, there are not a lot of planets in earth signs, but Pluto in Capricorn, of course, is trining your sign, but it's retrograde, meaning that there can be a change in management, or certainly a change or reversal of policy right now. But I don't think it would necessarily hurt you, Taurus. What can hurt you is if you are a little bit too busy right now to slow down, and you could be very, very stressed out. And the reason why is because the Sun and Mars, which are closely conjuncting each other, and Mercury are in Gemini, right ahead of your sun sign. You could be too busy. You could be trying to buy or sell or promote, or you may be caught up in the malicious gossip or the thrust or the anger of a group. And so, you know, if you get in with sort of the wrong people right now, Taurus, it will boomerang. It will reflect very poorly upon you, and you could live to regret that, and that wouldn't be good. So what you need to do, Taurus, is you need to go to a neutral corner. Remember, all's well that ends well, as long as we stick with our families and we sort of hunker down and mind our own business. So if you go to a neutral corner, you don't say anything really good, you don't say anything really bad, but you just sort of keep to yourself right now, that would be a good idea, Taurus. So don't take sides on anything, even though you may be subject, or you may know a lot about some malicious gossip that is going on. Try not to partake in it in any way. It will really reflect poorly upon you, particularly if everyone is wrong in what they're saying. That will make you look bad too, Taurus. So go to a neutral corner if you can. It's the safest thing for you. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, there are 3 planets in your sign, and they are being very harshly aspected. And that is because that full moon, along with Saturn 2 days ago, opposed your sun sign where you have the Sun, Mars, and Mercury. And so Mars is a very dynamic, energetic, passionate planet, and it does rule war, and it does rule anger, and it's coming up against Saturn, which is the opposite. Saturn is sort of a logical, analytical sign, planet that demands that steps not be skipped, that everything be done right or done over until it meets high standards. You could not be in the mood for that right now, Gemini, but what other choice do you have? Because there are no planets in Libra or Aquarius to trine your sun. So if you want to sort of get out and be really busy and very frustrated, or join a group that's making a lot of noise and they're thinking the louder they are, the more they'll get their own way, they're wrong, and you would be wrong too. So don't do that. In fact, you need to de-stress right now, because you know, you could just have so many things, irons in the fire right now, Gemini, that you could be getting real tired out and a little cranky. And that is not exactly the way to make friends and influence people either. So you really need to step back right now, even though it will be hard. And if there is something that you want, and you want it all on your own terms, the line is going to hold. You will not get that, Gemini. And so this is a time when you really need to sort of back off of a lot of things. One is for the sake of your own mental health, so that you can live a little calmer life. And the other thing is so you do not make permanent enemies, which you could. I mean, Saturn is a slow planet. Well, you know, You could make enemies of people that are very highly educated, that are in positions that have a lot of experience, and they would never listen to you again if you try to push your point too adamantly right now. So that is why you really need to sort of back off and slow down if you can, and try to get some more rest too. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, a Cancer, remember I said all's well that ends well, because Venus is in your sign, and it is beautifully trining Neptune in Pisces, which means that people can sort of forgive and forget right now. And if you stick with your family, this is summertime, perhaps you're thinking of summer's vacations or family outings, that's enough for you to be thinking about right now, because there are some challenges, but I don't think you can do anything about them. So I think that you should just stick with what makes you happy, and that can be closer to home. So if you mind your own business right now, at least you will be safe. And if you're thinking of making a dream come true, you can do that as well. But Pluto in Capricorn is opposing that Venus in your sign, and that means there can be some changes of management or changes in policies at work, and that would affect you. It could even result in some sort of separation, either by you or somebody that you know in your workplace, but that's not anything you can do anything about, Cancer. So that's why you need to stick to things that make you happy in your home or with your family. And Uranus in Aries is squaring that Venus, which means that not all of your relationships are going smoothly right now, because some people can just want to be rebellious. And actually, you're in a good mood. You're in a loving mood right now. And I think you should just stay with that. Try not to get involved in the turmoil that is occurring right behind your sun sign, because Mars, the Sun, and Mercury in Gemini are right behind your sun. And that means in the background of your life, there could be trouble brewing. And you better stay out of it, Cancer, because even if you notice that something's going on, try to just mind your own business right now. It really will be the safest thing for you. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, I think you're coming into your own, which is wonderful. Once again, there are no planets in the other fixed signs, so there is nothing squaring or opposing your own sun sign where you have Jupiter. And on top of that, remember I said the line holds because there's a grand trine in fire signs. So the Moon and Saturn in Sagittarius were trining Jupiter in your sign. And Uranus in Aries is doing the same thing, and that trine is almost exact. And so I think that this is a time when you really can move forward if you want to, and I don't think there's anything stopping you. So that's what I mean by you're coming into your own, meaning that if there is something that you particularly love doing, go for it, Leo. I don't think there's anything stopping you, and particularly go for it if it means you'll have to settle down a little bit or make some sort of commitment or try to do something that won't be successful for 2 or 3 years, but that could certainly add more prestige and more money to your life for the rest of your life as well. So I think that if you make a wise decision right now, and if you back the people that are holding the line, who are thinking that there have to be high standards, even if it does require a lot of work, you will certainly benefit, Leo. So this is a time when you really have to do your best. And I don't think there's anything stopping you. So don't try for number 2 or number 3. Take your first choice and really run with it now, Leo, because this is your time to shine. And that does not mean that you are extravagant or that you fritter away your time in meaningless activities. This means get real serious about what you want, because I think you can get it. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, this is a time when you've got too many cards stacked against you, and when you could just really worry yourself into a frenzy right now or a nervous breakdown. If you are thinking that you can fix other people's problems, you're very good at problem solving. This is not the time to get into that, Virgo, and that is because the full moon and Saturn were squaring your sun. The Sun, Mars, and Mercury, your own ruler in Gemini, are squaring your sun, and Neptune is opposing your sun. You cannot win right now. It isn't that you want to win, but I think that it's that you're thinking that you can go in and help somebody who is really making a lot of noise right now. Maybe you can solve some problems for them. No, you can't, Virgo. They will resent you for that, and you might get yourself in a real big mess. And so stay out of that. And people that are insisting on high standards, who are going to hold the line, they're not going to ask for your opinion either. They know what they're doing. They're very experienced. And there are people behind the scenes that are not telling you the whole truth. That is why you really need to narrow your focus just to what you enjoy doing, and do that, and really put blinders on and do not get involved in anybody else's affairs right now. First of all, no one will listen to you, and secondly, you'll be making yourself a target, and that would be a target for an attack. And that is not something you would enjoy. So even though there can be jealous and envy around you, you need to be as quiet as you can right now, Virgo, and try to blend into the background. It's for your own safety. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is simply a time when you can have a lot of things coming right at you, because the Sun, Mars, and Mercury in Gemini are trining your sun sign, Libra. So you might get caught up in the clamor of someone else's cause right now. You may not know the whole truth behind that cause, though, and that is why I think you need to pick your moments or pick your friends very carefully right now, Libra, because somebody could be wanting you to do all of their work for them, and then either they're going to take the credit for that, or you're going to take the blame if it goes wrong. And that is why you need to step back a little bit, because not every good thing, or not everything that's coming at you, even if it is sounding good, it doesn't mean it is good. It doesn't mean it is legitimate. It doesn't even mean it's true. And that is why you are going to have to sort of sort things out right now, Libra. And if I were you, I'd sort of play it safe. Remember, all's well that ends well, as long as we stick with our family members and mind our own business. And that is what I actually think you should do. I think that if you sort of leap toward somebody else's cause right now, you may live to regret that. And that is why you need to slow down a little bit, Libra, before somebody dominates you or overtakes you. Just try to step back a little bit, even if you have to make some excuses right now. That might be the wisest thing to do. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time with that full moon in Sagittarius right ahead of your sun sign, when you can certainly see that very experienced people do know what they're doing, and they are going to hold the line. In other words, they're not going to do anything flashy. They may not even make a lot of noise at all. They may be quietly deciding with a coalition of their friends, remember that grand trine is in fire signs, that they are going to hold the line or uphold high standards. And it can be that they are forming a judgment now. Remember, Sagittarius rules judges, but that it may not be announced at the moment, but that it is going to come true. And so I think you can see all that without even being involved in that. So you too need to step back, not because anybody's coming at you, but because the safest place, if you want everything to end well, is to be with your family or in your home, and to also try to make a dream come true. And that's because Venus in Cancer is trining your sun, and so is Neptune in Pisces. So you need to stay out of the fray, Scorpio, which I think you would do. Your sign rules psychology. You probably can very quietly figure out exactly what's going on right now and decide that you're not going to do anything about it, because the control of it is not in your hands. And I think you're doing okay anyway in your relationships. Those can be going pretty well for you, so stick with them instead. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarius? Well, Sagittarius, that full moon the day before yesterday, along with Saturn in your sun sign, was very well fortified, because Jupiter in Leo was trining it and Uranus in Aries was trining it. So you've got backup right now, Sagittarius, which is wonderful, because you also could be facing some sort of attack. And that attack could be verbal. And remember, Gemini is a communication sign, and Mercury, Mars, and the Sun are there. Mars and the Sun are conjuncting each other. They're sort of burning up each other right now. And that means somebody could really want to zing you, Sagittarius, and you need to sort of understand that, you know, there is a time to ask for help, and that can be from your friends, and this is a real good time to do it, because they will stand by you or back you up, Sagittarius. And also, you don't know everything that's going on right now because Neptune in Pisces is squaring your sun. So these 6 planets in mutable signs, 2 of which are in your sign, but 4 others that are giving you a lot of trouble, simply mean that you can sort of be on the hot seat, or you can be a target for people who just want to have their own way right now, and they don't care what anybody else thinks, but you'll hold the line. You will remember what is morally good, or you will rise to your highest good because you'll have help doing that. So this is a time when you can be under stress or even attack. But you are going to be able to count on the people that agree with you on your high standards, and they'll be there when you need them, which is good. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is simply a time when I think that, you're going to sort of stand alone, and that's because there aren't any other planets in the Earth signs to back you up. So you may be thinking about just how much you want to get involved in a legal question right now, or in some sort of line that has to hold, because it's going to be hard to hold it. It will succeed though. And that is because that full moon was right behind your sun sign. So there can be a lot of light in the background of your life right now. And it can do you some good, Capricorn. It can mean that people can see that you are more experienced than they thought. And that will eventually gain you more respect. But this is a time still when you need to proceed with caution, or don't proceed at all. Just go home and stick with your family if you can. That would be safest. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, this is a time when can be an awful lot going on, which is great, but you have to be a little discriminating and try not to believe everything you hear right now, Aquarius, because the Sun, Mercury, and Mars in Gemini are trining your Sun. But Mars is a planet of war, hate, greed, jealousy, and envy. And Gemini rules gossip. So there could be some very malicious gossip or facts that just aren't true at all headed your way, Aquarius. So don't believe a lot of blue sky right now, and don't believe what people are telling you unless you can verify it from some other source. So this is a good time for you to sort of quietly accept that there are things going on around you that are going to be decided at a high level, and you could benefit from that. The planets in Sagittarius sextile your Sun, but I think you would be wiser just to stay out, be neutral. The way Taurus has to go to a neutral corner, you should too, because you risk losing something very good. Remember, Jupiter is opposing your Sun sign, and that is why I would be sort of quiet right now and really don't believe something that people are telling you, because they might be doing it just for their good, not for yours. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is simply a time, since yours is a mutable sign with Neptune there, that I think that you cannot win unless you just stay home and concentrate on a dream, or on doing something around your house, or being with your family members. And the reason why I don't think you can win is because the planets in Gemini, 3 of them are squaring your Sun, and the full moon and Saturn in Sagittarius were also squaring your Sun, and that includes the lights, the Sun and the moon. So you could be easily misunderstood if you decide to sort of sympathize with different factions right now. You need to be non-committal and withdraw right now, Pisces, for your own safety, and say nothing. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. You can see the show anytime you want on our website by subscribing to it at starborninstitute.org. Bye.